Hi and welcome to my first devlog. In this video, I just want to show off the game that I made in 7 days and to show my progress through time. If you want to see the progress of this game and my other projects, just follow the page. And also, if you want to play this game in its current state, just click the link below. So, I started my journey by first writing down all the things I want for my game. First, I want it to be on a top-down view because it gives the player more of the field awareness. Number 2, the game should be a bullet hell type game, like those 80s arcade game. Number 3, the player should have an ability to both use melee and range attack. Number 4, an arcade style life system. So, once you die, you need to repeat the current stage. Fifth, which is the last, is I want to have a lightning dash. The reason for that I want to have that very cool dash is because of this anime. I don't know the story of this anime, but yeah, it looks very cool. Now, the second part I do is to make a character controller. I tried to import the same top-down control I made many years ago for my other games. However, the code sucks and I can no longer understand what the hell I write there. So, I totally scrapped that out and I came across to this YouTube tutorial by Sebastian Lag. Not so sure how to pronounce his name, so I asked Google for help.
Lag.
So, it pronounced as League. So, I came across to his YouTube channel and then I copy his code. What I actually mean is I watched the video and gained some knowledge. So, with the knowledge I gained, I created my own top-down control. So, after finishing the basic control, I now added the dash function, my favorite part, and it's very easy to make. In fact, it takes me an hour to figure it out because I don't know what the hell is a vector and points. Aside that, I make it two conditions. The player can only go through a wall that can be break. Example is this white wall is a breakable wall, while the blue one is a solid wall. Because according to Oscar Klein, you can actually pass through a wall, and he called it the Klein paradox, which he explained in a 30-page paper, which is so wonderful. But suddenly, I don't understand what the hell he say. But to make it simple, you can go dash through a soft wall, but not in a solid wall. And also, just, to make it looks cool. On day 2, I decided to focus on creating the character for the player and the animation. For the character or the 3D model, I decided to use the low poly art style because I already have an experience on making this kind of 3D model. I just need a little review just to get me back on track. But instead of focusing and practicing on how to create a 3D model, I wasted half of my day doing Facebook and some important stuff, like really important stuff. So, I decided to scrap making my own 3D model and just buy an asset. However, things didn't happen the way I planned it. So, instead of being creative, I just downloaded a free base model, then animate it using Mixamo, which is free and nice. And for the first time ever, I used the animator. Usually, I use the traditional animation, then hardcode the transition. And after an hour, I finally created my first animator transition, which looks so ugly and unprofessional. After hours of programming, I managed to animate the player. I also added the range attack and the melee attack. So I downloaded this shuriken model. The behavior of this weapon is somehow like a boomerang. After being thrown, it will return to the player. Again, there is a rule. If this giant shuriken hits a breakable wall, it will slice through. If it hits a solid wall, it will stop and the player needs to pick it up. I also added a arrow indicator above the head of the player. Whenever you throw the shuriken, it will appear above your head. The reason for that is just in case you forgot where your shuriken dropped, so you can still find it. And again, for being lazy, I decided to use the same model for both the enemy and the player, just having a different color. The enemy model will be having a red color except for the boss, as the boss will be having a same material like the player, while for the player will be having a multiple colors. Aside from that, I also started working on my AI, and from some sort of reason, I forgot how to use a nav mesh. Even though I already use it to all of my past games, but after 15 minutes of Google, yes, I finally managed to make the AI move and follow the player. And that's all he can do, follow you. Which kinda looks stupid, just like me. So I called my first AI as Mad CJ. I usually use the word mad in naming my enemy prefab since mad is a 3-letter compared to the word enemy. And well, it's my game, so I can name it the way I want it. And after hours of coding and calibration, I finally managed to make it move smoothly. So, I totally skipped the day 3, which is it's actually 6 days minus the day 3. While in day 4, I made a lot of progress. I added now a lot of AI with different attack. However, I'm so stupid that I forgot to press the record button. But I simply started by making a notes of my progress, like things that I've already done and needs to be done today. In day 4, I focused more in adding effects. I realized how ugly my game is. So I simply applied the rules of social media, like just put a lot of filters until they forgot you're ugly. In my case, I added lots of fancy lightning effects to make it looks good. And thanks to my stock assets of visual effects and after hours of watching YouTube tutorials, again, I didn't copy it, I just acquired the knowledge. I now have a dash effect that's almost similar to the thunderclap flash or whatever they call it. These effects will later improve into a much more flashy thing. And because of that, I want to warn people, if you're going to play my game, it has an extreme lightning patterns and it may trigger your epilepsy or seizure. I also improved the AI and balanced them out, like reduce the attack speed, improve the movements, and reduce the damage and whatsoever. Also, the enemies in this game has better accuracy than the stormtroopers. This is for the extra challenge. I actually didn't do much coding in this space as again, I focus more in both visual and sound effects. In day 5, not that much. Again, I just focused in the visual. I wanted the game to make at least visually good even though I do not have a good 3D models or any fancy 3D asset. I also added 2 new enemies, like this one who shoots arrow. What makes this enemy unique to other, it has 20% chance to dodge your attack. By means of dodge, it literally teleports into a different location just to avoid the player attack. Well, the other guy has an AoE lightning attack, which I spent half of my day just to give this guy a very cool looking lightning explosion effects. In day 6, I returned back in programming. I'm already done with the AI. I also added the first boss, which I called the God number 5. And well, that is the most creative name that I can give. And I also added a unique touch to the player and the boss as they now look like a hologram. The reason for this is for both the effects and the game design. What I mean about the game design is I tried to play the game, and the problem is when there is a lot of activities in the screen, it's very hard to determine which is the player. To fix that problem, I added a unique blend to the character, so the player can still track the character movement during battle. Now, what I mean with return back to hardcore programming is because at this phase, I started working on the event trigger or the overall game controls, the one that will be holding on the game flow. I also make the code much more neat, something that I can still understand when I need to use it. Again, at the same time, I also started working on my UI, which is very simple in terms of design. Not that good, not that bad. Day 7, which is the last day. So I only have now 24 hours left to finish everything. I also need to think of a title. But first, I am now focusing more in the level design. So my plan is there will be 2 stages before facing the final boss. So for the level design, I make it like those 80s arcade game that you need to jump across the platform. In some areas, you are required to kill all the enemies. Again, the rule, once you die, you need to repeat the current stage. So be careful in jumping through a platform or try to avoid any enemy attacks. Now, after finishing the level design, it's now time to think for a perfect title. Again, instead of being creative, I just use a title generator. Then after less than a minute, I finally found a title. Alter Blast. Perfect. And for the boss fight, I added something that I think would be cool. So, what I did, I record my own voice while reading a poem about death. Sounds cool. However, my voice sounds like heaven and earth colliding to each other. So I edit my voice to make it sounds like a god. And here is the result. I am the diamond gleams on snow. I am the sun on whipped grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the sweet uplifting wind.
I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 leaves that blow. I am the diamond gleams on snow. I am the sun on wind.
And after 7 days of working really hard, Alter Blast is now ready to be played. Again, if you're interested in playing this game, I leave the link below. Note that this game is not yet fully finished, but if you like to see it to become a full game, just leave a comment. And also follow the page and my YouTube channel for the next devlog. And thank you for wasting your time watching this.